Ralph Lauren was the brand that accidentally broke its own dream. Years of discounts, overexpansion, outlet racks, department store clutter. Little by little, these choices stripped away everything that once made the label feel aspirational. What used to symbolize old money elegance became something you could find folded on clearance tables. A name that once defined American luxury slowly turned into something diluted, everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And yet, in 2025, something unexpected happened. Ralph Lauren was suddenly back, a $7 billion brand high, Gen Z obsessed with old money prep, Taylor Swift wearing Ralph Lauren in her engagement photos, and a CEO who pulled the company out of its discount spiral, piece by piece. Because for all of Ralph Lauren's mistakes, the heart of the brand was never the logo. It was always the man. Ralph Lauren once said something that explains everything about his career. "I don't design clothes. Designers do clothes. I do life. I do living." That sentence is the key to understanding how Ralph Lauren built an empire, and how that empire nearly collapsed. He wasn't a traditional designer. He wasn't trained in couture. He wasn't sketching gowns in Paris ateliers. He was watching old Hollywood movies, studying how men walked into rooms with confidence, how clothes could signal power, restraint, and belonging without saying a word. Ralph Lauren grew up in the Bronx, not surrounded by wealth, not surrounded by luxury. What he had was imagination, an obsession with worlds he hadn't lived in yet. Country estates, tailored blazers, polished dinner tables, and a version of American life that felt elevated and intentional. His first real business wasn't glamorous. He sold neckties out of a drawer in the Empire State Building. But even then, he insisted on doing things his way. Wider ties, richer fabrics, more dramatic presence. When Bloomingdale's asked him to tone them down, he refused. That refusal mattered, because that stubborn belief in a world he hadn't lived yet became the foundation of everything that followed. When Polo launched, it wasn't just another menswear line. It was a universe. The blazers, the shirts, the fragrance bottles, the home collections, the imagery of converted barns, country houses, and East Coast estates. Ralph Lauren wasn't selling clothes. He was selling the idea of a better life. A life with taste, with intention, with restraint and confidence. And for decades, people bought into that dream completely, which is exactly why what happened next hurt so deeply. Success creates pressure, and pressure creates shortcuts. Too many sub-brands, too many licenses, too many places where the logo appeared stacked floor to ceiling. Purple label meant prestige. But when Lauren, Ralph Lauren, and Chaps flooded department stores, the story fractured. Luxury thrives on distance, and Ralph Lauren was suddenly everywhere at once. The dream began to blur. Here's the thing about luxury that most brands learn too late. Exclusivity isn't about price alone, it's about access. For years, Ralph Lauren carefully controlled where and how its world was experienced. Flagship stores, curated displays, storytelling through space. Then came the outlet boom. At first, outlets seemed harmless, a way to clear old inventory, a way to reach new customers without touching the core image. But outlets don't stay quiet, they multiply. By the mid-2000s, Ralph Lauren outlets were everywhere. And worse, product was being designed specifically for outlets. That's the moment luxury cracks. Because when customers know they can get the same logo for 40% off, full price stops making sense. Department stores follow the same pattern. Endless racks, seasonal sales, friends and family discounts. The Polo logo lost its distance. What once felt aspirational became accessible. At first, revenue looked fine. Discounts moved volume, but margins quietly collapsed. The brand was selling more and earning less. By the early 2010s, warning signs were impossible to ignore. Sales slowed, inventory piled up, entire product categories felt bloated and repetitive. Ralph Lauren had become overextended. Department stores were once Ralph Lauren's greatest ally. They became its biggest weakness. Overcrowded floors, inconsistent presentation, sales associates who couldn't explain the difference between lines. Luxury without context feels cheap. Customers stopped seeing Ralph Lauren as a world. They saw it as a rack. Then came the shock no one expected. Ralph Lauren closed its iconic Fifth Avenue flagship. That store wasn't just retail, it was a symbol. Closing it sent a clear message. Something was deeply wrong. For a brand built on image and presence, retreating from Fifth Avenue felt unthinkable. The market reacted immediately. Behind the scenes, hard decisions followed. Thousands of layoffs, store closures worldwide, entire lines quietly discontinued. Ralph Lauren wasn't trimming, it was cutting to survive. Investors demanded clarity, employees felt uncertainty, customers sensed instability. The dream was unraveling in real time. And then came the most symbolic moment of all. Ralph Lauren stepped down as CEO. The man who built the world was no longer running it day to day. He stayed on as executive chairman and chief creative officer, but control shifted. For many, this felt like the end of an era. If Ralph Lauren himself couldn't fix it, who could? By this point, Ralph Lauren wasn't a fallen brand. It was a wounded one. Still recognizable, still respected, but no longer desired in the way it once was. And that's the most dangerous place for a luxury brand to sit. After years of drift, Ralph Lauren faced a simple truth. You can't discount your way back to luxury. The brand needed a reset, not cosmetic fixes, but structural change. That reset arrived with new leadership. When Patrice Louvet stepped in as CEO, the mandate was clear. Simplify, focus, restore credibility. Louvet didn't arrive promising fireworks. He arrived with discipline. And discipline was exactly what the brand had lost. The first moves were quiet and painful. Ralph Lauren had become bloated. Too many products, too many variations, too many seasonal distractions. So they cut. SKUs were slashed. Entire categories disappeared. Lines that didn't support the core story were removed. This wasn't about shrinking for optics. It was about clarity. When everything is important, nothing is. Then came the most controversial move of all. Discounts were reduced. Not overnight, not dramatically, but deliberately. Outlet strategy was tightened. Department store promotions were renegotiated. Inventory flow was slowed. This hurt in the short term. Revenue dipped before it stabilized. But something important happened. Full price selling began to return. Luxury thrives on scarcity. And Ralph Lauren had lost it completely. The new strategy rebuilt it, piece by piece. Fewer drops, cleaner assortments, more intentional storytelling. Flagship stores were reimagined, not as warehouses, but as experiences. Displays slowed you down. Lighting mattered again. Space told a story. Ralph Lauren was rebuilding its world. The brand also made a clear, creative decision. Return to heritage. Purple label. Tailoring. Iconic polo silhouettes. Not nostalgia, refinement. The clothes felt intentional again. Quality was emphasized. Craft was highlighted. Price points made sense within the story. Ralph Lauren wasn't chasing trends. It was reclaiming identity. This time, the response felt different. Not loud, not viral, but steady. Margins improved, inventory stabilized, the brand felt calm again. And calm is rare in fashion. Younger buyers began discovering the brand through a new lens. Old money prep, timeless American elegance, understated confidence. Not because it was trendy, because it felt real. Here's the part no spreadsheet can predict. Culture changes first. Numbers follow later. After years of chaos in fashion, logos everywhere, trend cycles spinning out of control, something shifted. People got tired. They stopped chasing novelty. They started craving permanence. And suddenly, Ralph Lauren didn't feel old. It felt grounded. Gen Z didn't rediscover Ralph Lauren through advertising. They found it through aesthetics. Old money, quiet luxury, East Coast prep. Blazers that don't shout, Oxford shirts that hold their shape. A sense of taste that doesn't beg for attention. Ralph Lauren became shorthand for restraint. Not because it was rebranded, but because it had always stood for that world. The difference now? People were finally ready to listen again. Unlike past hype cycles, this comeback wasn't loud. It was selective. Taylor Swift wearing Ralph Lauren, not on a runway, not in a campaign, but in personal moments. That mattered. Because luxury today isn't validated by billboards, it's validated by belief. Stylists leaned back into the brand. Editorials framed it as timeless again. And suddenly, Ralph Lauren wasn't trying to convince anyone. It was being chosen. Then came the proof executives wait for. The numbers turned. Margins improved. Inventory stayed controlled. Full price sales became the norm again. Ralph Lauren crossed back into multi-billion-dollar brand value territory. Not because it chased growth, because it protected meaning. The company wasn't everywhere anymore. It was intentional. Here's why Ralph Lauren's recovery succeeded where others fail. They didn't reinvent the brand. They remembered it. They stopped asking, what does the market want? And started asking, what do we stand for? Luxury doesn't need to shout. It needs conviction. Ralph Lauren's story isn't unique. It's a warning. Discounts erode belief. Overexposure kills desire. Growth without identity leads nowhere. But it's also a reminder. If a brand protects its core long enough, culture eventually circles back. Not out of nostalgia, out of need. Ralph Lauren didn't win by being louder. It won by being patient. By letting others burn out chasing trends. By trusting the world it built decades ago. Luxury doesn't survive by running. It survives by standing still, long enough for meaning to catch up again. If you enjoy deep, honest breakdowns like this, stories that go beyond hype and headlines, make sure you subscribe.